Hey everybody, I am Joanna. I am the Crunchy Mama of Crunchy Mama Snacks, and I wanted to make sure that you guys knew about my Simply Sourdough Starter. It is freeze-dried sourdough starter, so there is no rush to start it. It is stable as is, and until you reactivate it, it's just ready. It's happy as is in the little packet. So I'm going to be going through the process with you. I know my mom recently tried it. I've done it before, but my mom is not familiar with sourdough, so I'm assuming a lot of you who want to try this product have never done sourdough before, and it can be a little bit frustrating. So I'm going to be going through the process so that you can see realistic results and realistic time frame and what it looks like, so you don't get discouraged. Let's get into it. First step, we need a clean glass jar, we need a tablespoon of freeze-dried starter, and some water. So all we're doing right now is just rehydrating it. It's gonna take about an hour to 2 hours, and then we're actually gonna feed it for the first time. So I highly recommend using a digital kitchen scale and always measuring in grams instead of trying to figure it out with cups and tablespoons. So I did put those measurements on there just in case you didn't have a kitchen scale. So I'm actually going to do things a little bit differently. I'm going to do things in grams. You're welcome. It doesn't really matter as long as you're rehydrating it. If there's extra fluid, that's okay. Sourdough is really hardy. It's hard to kill it. So there you go. Here's my glass jar. I'm going to turn my scale on and tare it. And I always put it to grams. My sourdough starter, sorry that light's kind of obnoxious. The way I freeze dry this is they come in little blocks, but this is more than you need. You could literally do just like a quarter of this and you'd be fine. Yeah, I just want to point out that you don't have to use everything that's in there. We'll do some water to just rehydrate it. I'm not really much of a measurer, I'll be honest. I've got my water and I am just gonna do a little bit there. And there's still some big chunks in there you can see. I'm just gonna let it rehydrate for about an hour or two, or maybe even overnight, because it's kind of late right now. It's like almost 9, so I might not be awake later. But I'll show you when it's hydrated. That's when we're gonna feed it an actual feeding. And sorry, just one more thing. Good morning. It's been about 10 hours since I rehydrated my starter, so I'll just show it to you here. It's pretty watery. It still hasn't totally, you can see there's still a big chunk in there that's not there yet. We're gonna mix that up with this, like a spoon or a spatula or something. But we are gonna start feeding it, so feed number 1 today. All right, so we're gonna turn it on. And when I did this in the summer, it was about 72 degrees. It's about 68 degrees now, so that will affect everything. Make sure we're in grams, and we are. So I do King Arthur flour. You're going to want to make sure you do some high protein flour. And let's see. According to my instructions, it says 50 grams per feeding, but I am not going to do that much because I don't want my jar to get too full. So we'll probably do, what, about maybe 20? We'll aim for 20. Yeah, there we go. I mentioned before in my last video that I don't use unfiltered water. I just use tap water. A lot of people recommend using filtered. I don't really care. It hasn't impacted results at all for me. That's probably good. I have these really narrow little spatulas. I love them. I got them on Amazon. They just fit in your jars really well, especially little jars. Oh yeah, and I think my little clump was just really soft, so we're just mixing that in. So it's almost like consistency. I'll show you in a second. So the consistency is like paste-like, and you can see it pours, you can see. This is actually a really good consistency. When I did this in the summer, I put way too much water in, so I had to pour off some of the water, which is fine. That's totally fine. So this is actually a really decent amount of water. So what we're looking for, we're going to be feeding this again in about 12 hours or just in the evening. And what we're looking for is a lot of bubbles. See you soon. Hey everybody. So it is nighttime. We are ready to do our second feeding. I just wanted to show you what my sourdough starter looks like. I don't really think there's a whole lot going on. I didn't see any bubbles, but we'll just take a peek. Yeah, so I'm not seeing much. You can see the excess water there. If there's a lot, you can just pour it off because this is just sludgy. Yeah, but I am not seeing any bubbles. That's just the glass there, so nothing happening yet. Not surprising. The last time I did this, it took 3 whole days and it was quite a bit warmer. So I'm expecting this might take upwards of maybe a week, but we should start seeing some bubble like activity soon. Probably tomorrow or the day after. All right, so we're gonna power on the huge. We're in grams, and we're gonna do the same amount here. We're just gonna do like 20. Yep. Oh, something happened there. I'm pretty sure it was about 20. We'll just go with that, and then we'll tear and do another. I'm not gonna do. Oops, I went over 21. That's all right. We'll go ahead and mix it up. All right, so we are all mixed up here. You can kind of see it's still pretty runny. It's almost 10 o'clock, so I fed it at 7 this morning, and it's 10 o'clock this evening. We'll be feeding it first thing in the morning. So I will be back then. See you then, bright and early. Good morning. We are on day 3 of reactivating our sourdough starter. Still pretty sludgy. So we're going to switch things up a little bit today. We're still going to be feeding just as normal, doing that, but one of my awesome followers made a recommendation of doing more flour and a little bit of sugar. So I'm going to see if that quickens up the process, just because I'm always into experimentation. So we'll see. So I'm going to take about half of this and put this in a new jar. And that is good. So with this one, we're gonna keep it normal. Let's stir that up in a bit. And then with this one, I'm actually going to do 50 and then add like about a teaspoon of sugar. I'm not gonna add sugar. I'm just gonna put a little pinch in. Yeah. You put it in like this or this? Oh, like this. First. Just like about a teaspoon, maybe somewhere between a teaspoon and a tablespoon. And then we'll go ahead and put in about 50 grams of water. And I'll mix that up. So here is our regular sourdough. This is just what we're normally doing, following the rules. And here is my sugar mix. So we'll see which one does better. We have life. Let me show you. So this may not look very exciting, but the bubbles mean things are happening. There's only a few bubbles, but you can see right here, those are little bubbles. That is our sugar one. And then this is our following the rules one, which we have live here too. Not very many, but a couple of bubbles. Okay, this is a top down. You can see those bubbles happening. It's starting to, not quite getting frothy yet, but you can see stuff's happening. Okay, so this is the regular. This is like the control, and then this is my sugar experiment. All right, so we're gonna do 50 grams in this one, and we're only gonna do 20 grams in this one. Oops, I guess I'm putting 50 in there. I forgot what I was doing. All right, you guys can kind of see we're getting a little bit of stretch now, which is exactly what we want to see. This is the sugar one, and then this is my control, and we'll see if we get any rise overnight. And tomorrow we might try the float test to see if it's ready to bake with. Very exciting stuff, guys. Okay, we're still looking pretty alive. It's looking good. All right, so what we're gonna do is I am not gonna be continuing to use both of these. I'm just gonna use this one from now on. I've gotten rid of quite a bit of this starter to make room for my feeding. So we're gonna go ahead and add 100 grams this time around, and 100 grams of water.
Mustard and ranch, mustache. About mustache.
All right, we'll check back in with you later this evening and see what is happening. All right, guys, we've given our starter a whole full 24 hours to work itself out. So you can see she grew a little bit, but we're getting there. Definitely more activity. We'll check back in the morning and give it a solid 12 hours. See what happens. The name of the game is patience, guys. She be frothy. So she rose to about this level, you can see, which is not double, but close. It took well over 48 hours, and then she fell. So we're gonna feed her again today. It just needs time to process. It's all a chemical reaction, so we're just working on it. And we're starting to smell a little bit more sour, a little bit more fermented, which is great. It's a great sign. So let's go ahead and do our feeding, and we'll see what happens later on.
Or a sticker?
Yep.
Or some writing?
Yep.
And that's how you'll know that's.
Check back in later. She be frothy. We'll go ahead and feed it earlier today, and then later today, if we do see a big enough rise, we'll go ahead and do a float test and see if it's ready to bake with.
Done.
We have officially doubled. It is time. I believe we have reached peak, but there's only one way to tell. There's a great way to tell if your starter is ready for baking, and it's called the float test. Just grab a little, I'm just gonna do a little spoonful here. Oh yeah, she's looking amazing. And just go plop it right in that water. Guys, we're floating. We are ready to bake. Ah! All right, let's make some bread. Okay guys, so here's the recipe. It's super easy. I'm gonna use 200 grams of starter. Okay, then we're gonna do 730 grams of water. Probably need a couple of these. And you can play with the ratios on this. I just love this recipe. It makes 2 good-sized loaves. And usually I don't even bake loaves. I just put all the dough in my fridge and use it for pizza dough. Now we're gonna do 1,000 grams of flour. Yeah.
That's not really nice cream.
Okay, two of the rest.
Oh, you said 1,000. That's
This is a really great like dough whisk. I have it a link to this product on my website if you are interested in purchasing it. It's great for stirring. All right, we're gonna cover that up and I'm gonna make a little saltwater mixture. I'm gonna let this sit for 30 minutes without the salt water and then I'll add that in and mix it again. It's about a 50 grams of hot water with 12 grams of salt. I just kind of eyeball it, to be honest. So I don't really typically measure salt, but I err on this side of too much salt. So I like the Himalayan salt, but I've used table salt before. And you just let it sit for a bit. And I'm gonna cover my bread and we'll come back and add it in and we will be mixing by hand and starting to do stretch and folds. This is the last one. Here we go. You gotta get your hands messy, but she's stretchy. Look at that. Oh, yeah, glorious, glorious. Okay. It's bedtime. Good night. We have done our bulk fermentation overnight. It's been in the fridge for probably about 14 hours, probably. So here are the tools that you need. Here are the tools that I use. So I really like this scraper tool while I'm making my loaf. You can use mixing bowls and dish towels, but I have these little covers for these bowls for shaping. I use 2 since this recipe is a 2-loaf recipe. And then of course we have our dough. So let's get to it. This would be the stage where you would put your inclusions in. I am not gonna do any inclusions today. We're just gonna do a basic loaf. So I use my scraper and I use it as a cutter. Divide it into 2 equal pieces. And then we're gonna be stretching this out and shaping. And I just stretch it out into like a rectangle shape. Here. Okay, so it's about a rectangle shape right now, and then I bring it into, like I fold it into 3 lengthwise. And then I just roll it up. Which, I know this isn't the best angle, but I'll show it to you when it's done. So I just take it and I kind of roll it here. Okay. Okay, so we've got this little roll here. I like to use rice flour. I just grind up my own rice and create my own rice flour, so that's what we're going to use today. So there we go. Take my dough and I do it upside down, so it's just right in there. And then I'll be covering that up with another dish towel and throw it in the refrigerator here in a minute. So I've got my 2 loaves ready, and while I have my oven preheating to 500 degrees with my Dutch oven in there, so I'm just gonna throw these in the fridge to help them shape up here, and then we'll put them in the Dutch ovens and bake them.
Just thinking about it. I wanna, you know. Mom, but I wanted to finish that.
The other thing I wanted to point out is I have all of my instructions on the back, but I also have on my website a page dedicated to sourdough. So if you have any questions, you're always welcome to email me or message me. I'm happy to help.